Hi, my name is Kusha Shirani. I want to start my talk by telling you a story. My story is about how walking to school taught me an early lesson about the importance of engagement in the community. When I was pretty young, I was lucky enough to be able to walk to school with my parents every day. Our path to school would go through nature with beautiful trails and many trees and creatures. Every day we would play a game on our way to school, trying to find something new, a unique sound, a new insect or animal, a leaf with a different shape, or a flower with a different color. I would listen to the not so silent sounds of the forest. I would hear the birds chirping and watch squirrels hop from tree to tree, see the little chipmunks chewing on nuts, and turtles resting in the stream under the bridge. Some days, if I was ready early, we had enough time for me to feed the ducks in a pond. My daily walks through nature made me feel a greater appreciation for the world around me, the sound of wind, birds, babbling brooks, leaves, and crackling twigs. It also made me quite observant. Day by day, I started noticing other things in the trail. Plastic bags stuck in between the branches of the trees, wrappers floating on the pond where I would feed the ducks, and plastic bottles scattered across our path to school. Every day before going to school, in the morning, I would secretly hope that when I walked to school, this time, just this time, the trail would be clean. Maybe someone would have cleaned it up yesterday, or the trash got blown away. Sadly, no, it didn't happen. The garbage was sitting there day after day after day. Eventually, I came to realize that if I wanted the trail to be clean, I needed to act myself rather than waiting for someone else. With the help of my parents, I adopted the trail and became a trail ambassador. Now, I was responsible to keep the trail clean for others. I figured out from that young age that I needed to put on my can do attitude and make the change, hoping for a butterfly effect on others. Change stems from ourselves. You can't always rely on the universe to help you accomplish your goals. You have to go out there and do it for yourself. Push your boundaries and do what needs to be done. Barack Obama says change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change we seek. Today's reality is that young people face multiple challenges and barriers to grow and develop in their community. Racism, inequality in education, unemployment, poverty, poor health, and drug abuse, to name a few. How can we help one another not only survive, but thrive in the 21st century? People have looked long, hard, and far for the answer to the question when it's been right in front of our eyes: youth. Young people are the future. They are the force of nature, smart, creative, full of potential and energy, and most importantly, they are capable of change. According to UNICEF today, there are 1.8 billion people between the ages of 10 and 24 in the world. It is one of the largest cohorts of this age group in human history. Youth and children together account for nearly 40% of the world's population. We need to use the brilliant mind of youth to our advantage. We have to use them as leaders, planners, partners, and a force for progress in our world. So, we've been throwing around this term youth engagement a lot, but what is youth engagement? To me, youth engagement paints a picture of a community where youth are empowered to be valuable partners. They would give their opinions and ideas, plan, make decisions, and would be engaged in responsible, challenging actions to create positive social change that affects them and society as a whole. After all, we hold our shared future in our own hands. We can all spark the beginning, be the little nudge in the right direction that can involve friends one by one, then a school, and then a community, and then the world. Now, more than any time, our world needs a spark. Yes, we live in an individualistic society, but we do live together. So we have a shared responsibility in combating all the issues that affect us all. We have to be involved in developing a roadmap that creates a world for youth made by youth. This roadmap will grow and change as we grow to incorporate our voices and our ideas so it will always be sustainable for our needs. Imagine what we could create if we all work together, building off each other's ideas, learning from one another. We could create better ways to communicate, new medicine, breakthrough inventions and discoveries in space, combat climate change. Maybe we could even create peace in the world. However, this opportunity is not at our disposal. We have to make it happen ourselves. So, why do we need to be engaged in our community? How do we benefit from this engagement? Well, first of all, When we do something meaningful in our community, this increases our self esteem and can improve our overall mental well being. Secondly, it broadens our connections and strengthens our social networks. Next, when we try to solve issues in the community, we improve our critical thinking skills as well as our leadership skills. And lastly, according to Crooks and many similar research studies in the field, empowering youth to be engaged in the community would reduce use of drugs and alcohol, improve academic performance, make them less likely to drop out of high school, and less likely to be involved in criminal behavior. So now we know there are a lot of benefits for youth engagement, but we need adults to buy into this idea because we have to use adults as our allies to develop a partnership so we can both contribute, teach, and learn from one another. And sometimes adults even need training to be able to work with youth. We need to remind adults that for any youth engagement plan or movement to be successful, number one, youth need to be involved in the design and decision making from the beginning. For example, we're more likely to come to these events if we run them ourselves. The most in tune adults cannot fully understand youth needs as well as young people themselves. A great example of this is how we started Connect at Abbey Park High School. Connect is a youth engagement initiative that promotes mental and emotional well being during the pandemic. During the initial phase of lockdown in the summer, I came up with the idea and I had the vision. I knew exactly what my mission was. However, I needed to be directed in the right path. That is when so many adults stepped in to assist me. My community mentors directed me to training workshops to learn the appropriate skills to be able to implement the idea. I was also connected to inspiring speakers for virtual events. A few of my friends graciously agreed to come on board to help with the project, and the school principal and our teacher advisor allowed us to design the initiative while being there to support it in every step. This is an example of how an idea came to life with partnership with adults to benefit the school community by raising awareness about the topic. However, it also helped us tremendously grow personally, make valuable connections with mentors and professionals in the community. Number two, for any idea to succeed, there has to be a clear purpose and implementation plan with necessary resources. It is essential that young people and their ideas are valued, empowered, and afforded an opportunity to contribute in meaningful ways in the community. I'll provide you with an example. Almost 6 years ago, I had heard on TV that McMaster's Children's Hospital needed funding for research in the area of children's cancer. I decided me and my friends were going to help. I was good at drawing and making comics back then, so I decided to make my own comic book and sell it to my classmates to raise funds to help this cause. This is actually the comic book that I made. I went with the idea to a few friends and got them on board. Then we went to the teacher and shared our idea with her. We had found ourselves a perfect mentor. She helped not involve not only my friends and I, but the whole class. Together, we designed a marketplace to be able to sell our homemade crafts to the whole school, and we let our creativity fly. The movement became much larger than me and my friends had imagined, and we were able to raise $2,000 that year. The idea was great, but as I said, we needed mentorship, help with the design, implementation, and delivery. And here's a paper of my 9-year-old self reflecting on that experience. As you can see, the things I learned a lot through the experience were helping kids a lot, being patient, collaborating, to use teamwork, and never giving up. Fast forward 6 years later, this picture is about our recent neighborhood food drive. This time, I was more equipped to plan, implement, and organize the drive, having previous experiences. Though I still required support, but got better at delivering the idea. I was even able to convince my little sister to help. And here's how I experienced that butterfly effect I was talking about. Here's some pictures of a few amazing kids from my community who were inspired and decided to have their own food drive. The last thing for any youth engagement to be successful is the environment. It has to be inclusive, recruiting young people from different genders, ethnicities, those with disabilities, and those from disadvantaged backgrounds. We have to create a safe space where everyone can share their ideas and opinions. By becoming engaged, we can develop the skills required to be influential leaders and problem solvers for the future. We can shape our community and strengthen its capability to be the place where we can be empowered and thrive. I would like to finish my talk with two messages, one for adults who are listening and one for youth. My message to youth is a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. We mirror the world. If we change ourselves, the preferences in the world would also change. As a man changes his nature, so does the attitude of the world change towards him. We need not wait to see what others do. And I want to remind the adults who are listening. If I feel needed, I will devote myself. If I feel wanted, I will step in. If I feel listened to, I will express myself. If I have room to spread out, I will spread my wings and occupy the space. Thank you for listening.